Welcome in to the Punt and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside my co-host, Jake Fromm. Be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Punt and Pass on X and Instagram. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at From Jake, puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football. Well, the college football playoffs are here. That's right. The first rendition of the 12-team playoff kicks off this Friday night. The games are on home campuses. We've got 4 amazing matchups, tons to dive into, a couple of news and headlines across the wonderful sport of college football. Christmas is 1 week away. Jake Fromm, what's up, bro?
Hey, man, doing good. Getting ready to go play the Chicago Bears this week. Christmas is almost here. Yep. December 18th is when we're recording this. It is my brother's birthday today. Happy birthday, Dylan and Tyler.
Oh, both of them.
They're 24 today. So, they're getting old, making me feel old. Dude, so actually, quick story here. Sorry, I had father-in-law in for the game this weekend, my little nephew, Ronan, and we're watching the Army-Navy game together. And he looks at me. He goes, "Did you play for the Bulldogs?" Now, granted, he is 9 years old. Okay. So then I kind of look at him. I'm kind of hurt, kind of offended. Like, what do you mean? Of course I did, buddy. But then I start backtracking a little bit. He's 9. This is my 5th year in the league.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Homeboy was 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. No recollection there.
When I was playing, he has no idea at all whatsoever. So I got like butt hurt for all of about 15 seconds. But man, you can't hold it against him. Great kid. They had a great time. It was great to see family. So anyway, that was my weekend. Glad to be here.
Hey, it's always good to get humbled. I have a story. Can I match your
Come on, bring
age story? So right now, the Georgia High School football state championships are going on. I was tuned in Monday night. The games have actually been really good. Shout out Milton High School, back-to-back state champs. They whooped up on Langston Hughes last night. That game, Jake, 35-28 at halftime or 42-35 at halftime. There was 28 points scored in the last 2 minutes before half. It was actually pretty crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Monday night, though, North Oconee beat Marist, and they won a state championship. So I'm watching the game. It kind of comes down to the last drive, and this kid for North Oconee, this DB, makes a great play on the ball to force a 4th down. Last name Fabris, Michael Fabris. Did you ever run across Coach John Fabris during your time at Georgia? I mean, Fab was a coach way before you. He was there when I was
I don't think so.
So Fab, legendary coach. Everybody remembers Fab if you played for him. And I remember, when Fab was our coach, his little kids were out there hanging around, running on the field after practices and games. And sure enough, Michael Fabris out there for North Oconee. He's got to be a junior or senior, making a great play on the ball, turning it around, locating it, batting it down as a DB. I was like, damn, I am old. That hurt. That hurt, dude. Watching this kid making plays in high school football.
Yeah, let's learn here. It happens to us all, and it's okay to get humbled
every
once in a while. Absolutely.
It's a blessing to still be here. Absolutely. So those are our We're Old holiday season, bringing perspective, humbling experiences of late. Hey, listen, if you want to feel good about yourself and not be humbled and have people tell you you're old, if you want to feel young and alive, you got to download the Prize Picks app. That's right. This episode of Punt and Pass presented to you by our awesome partners over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code PUNT. When you play your first $5 entry, win or lose, you will instantly receive $50 into your account. No better time than right now. Download the Prize Picks app. Tell a family member, tell a friend. PrizePicks.com, at Prize Picks on social media. Just use the promo code PUNT. And when you play your first $5 entry, that's it, win or lose, instant $50 into your account. You can do cross-sport entries, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, and it's all there. It's all there. Pick 2 to 6 players. Predict that they will go more or less than their stat projections. Watch the winnings roll in. At Prize Picks on social media, prizepicks.com. Download the Prize Picks app, the best daily fantasy platform in the world. That, of course, is Prize Picks. My Prize Picks slip coming up later on in the show. Okay, a couple of news and headlines around college football. And then, of course, we're going to dive in and spend most of our time on these first-round college football playoff games coming up this weekend. Diego Pavia, one of the better stories, Cinderella stories of this past college football season, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, who, of course, beat Alabama, gave Texas a run for their money. Vanderbilt had a great season by all comparisons. He filed an injunction against the NCAA because he wanted another year of eligibility. I believe in the injunction, Jake, they were saying, what is there to say the NCAA can limit how much time I spend at a college if I came from JUCO? Well, news breaks on Wednesday that he won that injunction, and he has been granted an extra year of eligibility. So he went to Twitter to celebrate, or X, and he posted, Vandy, we effing turned, which is a famous quote that he had after, of course, that Alabama victory. So Diego Pavia, congratulations to him. He'll be back for Vanderbilt next year. Watch out for Vandy in 2025, I guess.
Yeah, big win for him. Winning a lawsuit against the NCAA, but from his perspective, I don't know if he's the highest NFL prospect in the world, or kind of what the next step looks like for him. But I mean, right now he's the king at Vanderbilt. You take down Alabama of all teams.
Yeah,
look, that is a good kind of wave to ride there. So he's riding that wave, and he is probably racking up a few NIL deals because of it. So
hell yeah,
that is a win-win in my book. So happy for him, and can't wait to see what he's going to do next year.
Okay, so for all the lawyers that listen to our podcast, allow me to just clarify. Okay, a federal judge in Tennessee granted an injunction Wednesday that allows Diego Pavia to pursue another year of eligibility. It could represent another significant blow to the NCAA's ability to enforce its own rules. Pavia sued the NCAA in November, claiming the organization's rule that counts a player's time in JUCO towards his overall years of NCAA eligibility is a violation of antitrust law. So Judge William Campbell's decision on Wednesday is not a final ruling on the case, but it prevents the NCAA from keeping Pavia out of college football until the case is resolved. So he's back next year. Another huge L for the NCAA to hold on to. So congrats, Diego Pavia. No doubt about that. Speaking of NIL, athletic director at the University of Alabama, Greg Byrne, he took to Twitter, or X, however you want to call it, Wednesday afternoon, singing for his soup, Jake, singing for his supper, putting the hand out, and essentially asking the Alabama fan base, do more, pay more, give us more money to continue to compete in this new NIL landscape. I think Spencer might have a graphic here that we can pull up. I mean, look at this manifesto.
Oh my goodness.
If you're watching on YouTube,
holy cow.
Hold on a second, Greg Byrne. We got to go a little bit clearer, a little bit more concise for our fans to be able to digest this. I'm not reading all of that. It's like that classic meme. Congrats. I'm not reading all that. Good for you, or I'm sorry that happened, I believe is how the meme goes.
Skip to the last line.
So he's throwing in links. He's tagging the collective.
Goodness.
He's saying we've been competitive from an NIL standpoint, but our competition has us in their sights. They're actively trying to surge ahead with NIL. You've heard of examples of other teams using promises of $1 million paydays, X, Y, and Z.
It's called Alabama is what it's called.
Alabama is their collective's name.
Wow. A subscription to Alabama isn't about the now. It's about the future. It's about roster retention for future seasons. I don't understand. Just bring out the contract, sign them to 2-year deals, and you don't have to worry about 90% of your roster thinking about entering the portal and you having to cough up another, $100 to $500 just to keep them there. Just sign them to 2-year deals.
I love how I totally agree, and that's about to be what's happening next summer if this House settlement actually does go through, and universities like Alabama, like Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, etc., have, I believe, $20.5 million to spend directly on their student athletes, not just football, but all student athletes. But I mean, he's sitting here like explaining to you what this collective does. Yeah, Alabama delivers exclusive content, access you can't get anywhere else. We also have a plan to grow the offerings with more videos, features, and news in 2025. I mean, come on, dude. This is a bit much. I get the video messages. I get, hey, just one tweet. This is like a 400-page essay, 400-word essay that Greg Byrne, the Alabama athletic director, is putting out there to beg the fans of the Crimson Tide to join the collective, subscribe, pay more money. I wonder if it works. I wonder if it has any impact whatsoever. What do you think, Jake? You think people are like, you know what? Yeah, I will do it now. Thank you, athletic director.
I don't know. It's kind of borderline playing the victim card a little bit, in my opinion, of we've been this big bad bully on the block for so long. Now something comes up in college football, brings a new twist, and then now all of a sudden, hey, poor us, help us. I don't know. I don't quite like it, man. Just kind of eat your veggies like everybody else. Take your beating, take your licks.
Yeah.
But they have to respond. They have to do something different. And it looks and it appears and it seems as if just selling the Alabama brand isn't the same anymore. And to me, that's because Nick Saban's no longer the head coach there.
Yeah, you're exactly.
You have a brand new head coach who's unproven, who won a few games. Don't get me wrong, they beat Georgia and they beat the crap out of LSU, but they also slipped up and lost some games that you do not lose at
Absolutely.
Alabama. So they're kind of caught in the middle of they don't know where they're sailing the ship to, and they're caught in the middle of a storm and they don't know how to get out.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Building the plane mid-flight, as I believe how some people say it. But interesting. If you're watching on YouTube, maybe you've finished reading this essay that Greg Byrne put out there on his X account. But I wonder if that affects anybody. If you're an Alabama fan and you're listening, let us know. That made a difference. Another piece of news. I thought this was actually really cool. Ivy League football teams are now eligible to participate in the FCS playoffs starting in 2025. This is great for schools like Columbia, Dartmouth, Harvard, who earned a share of the Ivy League title this past season. Over the next several months, the league will develop tiebreakers to determine how its automatic qualifier will be awarded when there are co-champions in the future. So, I think, Jake, you might see some student athletes at high school who maybe would in the past look to walk on at a Ohio State, a Georgia, a Tennessee, whatever you want to say, top tier program. Why would you not go to an Ivy League school now
and be the guy?
On a full route, be the guy, get some tape, work your tail off, see how far you can get in 2-3 years in school. And then if you become a really good prospect, transfer to one of those new schools, catch a bag. Like, I think that is a real opportunity. Now they have a chance to play in some meaningful postseason football. Like, I think that'd be a kind of cool route to go if you're a stud, I don't know, whatever position at whatever high school, and you're kind of middling between, should I go be the guy here? Should I take a chance and maybe compete? Not that you're not going to compete at the Ivy League school, but I think you understand what I'm saying, Jake. Good for the Ivy League teams.
No, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down. And there's actually a lot of parallels to the NFL as far as getting good tape out there.
Huge.
If you get on a team and it just happens to work out that way, you just really don't see the field that much. They hide you a little bit during the preseason. Your career can pass you by because you haven't been able and you didn't have the opportunity to put good tape out there. There's a lot of good players that I've seen go in and out of buildings.
Absolutely.
That were fully capable of being stars in the NFL. They just didn't really have the right opportunity. So they're putting it, the matter into their own hands and saying, hey, I'm going to go get my opportunity here, go play, ball out, and let the rest take care of itself.
I totally agree. So good advice there from Jake Fromm, who's got some great perspective, not only from college football, but also in the NFL. If you're a prospect out there listening, heed that advice. I would implore you to, for sure. All right, last thing I want to touch on, because I need your advice here before we talk about the first round games. Some rumors swirling, and I don't know if there's any sort of confirming these rumors whatsoever. It seems like social media fodder at this point, but it's worth discussing. Carson Beck, what's he going to do next year? Obviously dealing with the elbow injury. Mum's kind of been the word. I haven't really heard how serious it is, if he needs surgery, if he's had surgery, what the timeline is like for his return. But you're starting to see some rumblings on social media of what will Carson Beck do in 2025. Will he return to college? Will he return to Georgia? Will he transfer and go somewhere else and play his last year of eligibility at a different school? Will he go to the NFL? Jake, what do you think is going to happen? What would you tell Carson Beck to do given your experience throughout a process like this?
Yeah, I think it'd be very tough to compare apples to apples here. I mean, to me, this new world of NIL just opens up a completely different can of worms of opportunities. But man, I wish I knew more information about what's going on with his arm. To be honest with you, that's kind of on me. I hadn't really pressed or really just sat down to ask anyone that I know in the building kind of what's going on. But I don't know. I mean, are we optimistic on him returning back? I don't know. I really have no idea what the situation is. But as far as his future, man, I don't know. This is kind of a tough one for me because this quarterback class coming out, I don't know how really how good it is, and I think he would be a top guy in this class coming out. But could he go back and move his stock back up to probably the first guy or the second guy taken off the board like it looked like it was the year before this past year? I think absolutely. So that's a tough one. I think he's in a win-win situation either way. But man, coming back to college football definitely looks like a very favorable place to be right now with all this NIL stuff that's going on.
No question. I'm just doing some general searching on social media right now because, like you said, there's not much information out there. What the actual injury was, what's the timetable? Has he had a procedure? Does he need a procedure? And that's obviously by design.
Yep.
But I typed in Carson Beck. I'm on X. I'm looking around, and I just found this tweet, and his name is Bobby Saxon, at Bobby Saxon, too. Looks like a dog fan. So shout out to Bobby Saxon. This is a great tweet. You want me to just go ahead and read it?
Why not?
There's a seasoned quarterback that would wreck the ACC, who's already 4-0 against ACC teams, and be perfect for a Bill Belichick offense at UNC. It would also help him get back into the first round of NFL draft boards if his injury has hurt his prospects. That would be Carson Beck at North Carolina. Playing for Bill Belichick, playing in an NFL system. Like, that could be an interesting thought process. So shout out to Bobby Saxon. Great tweet. I just found it searching through social media. But I'll just say this. I think if Carson Beck does come back to college football next year, it won't be at Georgia. And I have no intel whatsoever. I just think that he would go get a fresh start. I think he would say, hey, let me kind of prove my worth at a different school. I don't know. I feel like that might be a track that he would take, or maybe it would help him demand more NIL dollars that would make the juice worth the squeeze in order to stay that fifth year.
Yeah, I could definitely see him getting offered more somewhere else rather than what Georgia could probably muster up to keep him. You know, I mean, there's a reason Kirby keeps a lot of very good and talented guys in that room for competition, and then also for leverage as well in this world of transfer portal and NIL. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very interesting take. I think we won't know until we get a little bit more information, but it's all good fun speculation.
It absolutely is. You know what else is good fun? Jumping on the Prize Picks app.
That's right.
This episode of Punt and Pass presented to you by our awesome partners over at Prize Picks. Check them out on social media. A great follow at Prize Picks on X and Instagram, prizepicks.com. And when you download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code PUNT, P-U-N-T, PUNT. You can get $50 instantly in your account when you play your first $5 entry. Win or lose. All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players, predict if they will go more or less than their stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. It starts this weekend, the college football playoffs. I'm looking at the board right now. Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, under less than 181.5 passing yards against Indiana. I think Notre Dame's going to try to run the ball. Potential for some snowfall, Jake. I think the kickoff temperatures around 25, 28 degrees. I like Riley Leonard less than 181.5 passing yards. I also, sticking with QBs here, I also like Nico Iamaleava more than 185.5 passing yards. We'll get to this. I'm just giving you my Prize Picks slip right now.
I like that. I like this.
We have a lot to dive into on these games, but I think you can kind of tell where I'm going with some of the thoughts that I'm having around these projections on Prize Picks. So I'm sticking with the QBs. Riley Leonard, less than 181.5 passing yards. Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee quarterback, more than 185.5 passing yards. $20 power play wins you $60. That's the punt and pass Prize Picks slip of the week for the first round of the college football playoffs. Keeping it simple, keeping it easy, getting us into the quarterfinals, and we'll go from there. Shout out to Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code PUNT. $50 instantly when you play your first $5 entry. Okay, so let's jump right into the games.
Let's do it.
College football playoff. The first round starts Friday night with an in-state rivalry. Indiana at Notre Dame in South Bend, 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff on ABC. Our buddy Sean McDonough on the call, Greg McElroy as well. This should be a sick atmosphere. There's no question about it. Notre Dame's a touchdown favorite. They're laying 7 points. The total here, 52.5. Look, Notre Dame's been on an absolute tear since that week 2 horrendous loss to Northern Illinois. Indiana finished 11-1, their only loss being at Ohio State. Indiana's had some time off, so is Notre Dame. I think this is a fascinating matchup. I think that's way too many points. I mean, Indiana's going to keep this one close, Jake. They're going to spread those guys out. They're going to test Notre Dame all over the field. I think we're going to have a really good matchup in this.
No, this is. I'm actually kind of excited about this. To me, this is two different philosophies going at it. Right. Notre Dame takes more of a NFL physical. Let's run the ball. Let's shorten the game. This is about possessions, taking care of the football, and being efficient on our possessions. Indiana, hey man, we're going to spread everybody out. We're going to go fast, and we're going to score a lot of points. Which philosophy prevails? I have no idea. I'm going to pick a team here that I think will win. And it's going to make no sense because I'm going to pick kind of the opposite philosophy later. But man, I like Indiana here in this matchup. I feel like they're going to shock the world. I think they got a bad taste in their mouth. They lost that game to Ohio State. They've been tested here late, responded very well. Look, I know it was Purdue, 66-0.
Yeah,
I mean that was a statement, and they're rallying around their head coach. Is a great head coach. He knows, he understands ball, great at dialing stuff up. He's had some extra time to look at this. I'm going to tell you, man, I think Indiana could go in there and shock the world.
Dude, I think so too. Nothing to lose. To your point, hey, let's go burn the ships. Let's just have fun. Nobody's expecting us to win. Notre Dame, touchdown Jesus, all the history, all the lore. Could it snow? They're not afraid of the weather.
Nope.
I'd be interested. I know it's a tough ticket. I think it's the most expensive ticket in these first-round playoff games. I'd be interested to see what the split is. I mean, obviously, this is an in-state rivalry, so there's plenty of Indiana fans that will have ease to get there. I'm kind of unsure on the ticket situation as far as, like, how does Indiana have allocations? Are a lot of them sold on these third-party sites, StubHub, Ticketmaster, Game Time, etc.? I don't know, but I feel like the home advantage for Notre Dame might be muted a bit. You're exactly right. These are two differing styles of football. Notre Dame's going to want to control the game on the ground, play tough defense. That's what they do. And Indiana's going to spread them out. I mean, Curtis Rourke is their quarterback who's got a ton of confidence. Indiana, until they lost at Ohio, or until they won that close game against Michigan, they had won every game by 14 points or more, Jake. Like, they score points. They get after it. I think Cignetti's going to have his boys ready to play. And I think, quite frankly, some of that momentum that Notre Dame had finishing the season might have worn out a little bit with the break. So give me the 7 points with Indiana. I think they have a real chance to win this football game.
Yeah, man, I like it. I really do. And then I think a little bit of the pressure of being Notre Dame, playing at home, first playoff game.
They always lose big games. I mean, what are we even talking about?
Right? They just find a way to do it. So that's just kind of where I'm at, man. I like this head coach. I like Indiana.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find a couple of just a couple of statistics. I usually have some pretty good statistics, but all these matchups are relatively new. So you don't have trends. You don't have last 10 years. You don't have coach versus coach.
And that's what's so exciting about it.
That's what's so exciting about it, for sure. So I see some betting sites here. They say they like the under 51.5, something to watch. Again, game time kickoff going to be in the 20s, 30% chance of snow. All right, so that's Friday night. You wake up on Saturday, you get your errands done, you get a little cup of coffee, transition into maybe a cold beer, right around noontime. And you got the second college football playoff first round game, SMU heading up to Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State, a big 8.5-point favorite. The total here is 54.5 points. And just a heads up, these games are broadcast on TNT or Max if you use Max for streaming. It will be the ESPN production, so your viewing experience will be no different, but they are syndicated on TNT Max. That game, and then the second game, Clemson, Texas, which we're about to get to on Saturday.
Yeah, this last game, we kind of talked about the weather. Those teams are both from up north. Yeah, to me, I was kind of a wash, not really a big deal. To me, I think the weather is going to be a huge factor in this game. Yeah. The early wake up, SMU being from good old Texas down in the South, going up to Penn State. Now, I think they missed a great opportunity for Penn State to have another whiteout opportunity.
I know. They're getting screwed big time.
They really are. But man, I like this quarterback. He's very, very talented. He's still a little bit raw. Drew Aller at Penn State. I think it's time James Franklin finally gets his signature win. I think everything's gearing up for that. I think they played a really good and tough game against Oregon in the conference championship game. I mean, really went and battled them down to the very end, down to the fourth quarter. So I like Penn State here. Give me Penn State.
Yeah. I got a good little blurb here from vsin.com. On paper, this looks like a strong matchup for Penn State. The Mustangs, SMU, 2-5 against the spread as road underdogs under Rhett Lashley. Conversely, the Nittany Lions are 13-4 against the spread as home favorites between 7.5 and 14 points under James Franklin. So for as many jokes as there are to be made about Franklin, he generally takes care of business when Penn State is expected to do so. I think that kind of fits the bill with this matchup. This is a big spot, around 110,000 people. SMU from Dallas. Were they going to get in? They lost the ACC championship game. Yes, they did end up getting in because they stormed back, lost on a last-second field goal. Rhett Lashley, not a lot of experience in these types of spots. Penn State's defense can get after it. Drew Aller, Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton, like they are going to try to dominate this game on the ground, physicality. It's going to be cold up there as well. I think this is the one game that might get out of hand this weekend. I'll take Penn State. I'll lay the 8.5.
Yeah, I like it as well. And then also, too, I do want to add, Penn State had a very tough football game at home against Ohio State at noon. They have that experience under their belt.
Yeah,
they know about it. To me, this is no different.
They scored 37 against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game.
Dude, they can score some points, man. Oregon didn't play great defense that day, obviously, but Franklin had some things dialed up, man. The quarterback played well. Now he did turn the ball over twice, but I don't know, man. I think they're figuring some things out, and this is a big breakout moment for Penn State.
Okay, let's go to my favorite game of the weekend, Clemson at Texas. I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic matchup. 4 p.m. Eastern kickoff. Clemson Tigers in Austin at the Texas Longhorns. This total, 51.5 points. Texas is a gigantic 12-point favorite. Again, this game at 4 p.m. on TNT Max, right after that SMU Penn State game. Man, I love Clemson. I think Clemson's going to win the football game. We'll talk about it. I'd love your thoughts.
Wow.
I think Clemson is going to win this.
Go ahead. You've gotten started. I want to hear your thoughts.
All right. My thoughts are this. Dabo Swinney has played in these games before.
He's a winner.
Clemson's playing with house money. They won their conference championship game. They were on the way outside looking in. They've played against Georgia. They've played tough games in the conference. They're battle tested. I see Dabo being able to scheme up something that just kind of takes the air out of Texas's lure. And the biggest question for me is, what's Texas's biggest win this season? At Texas A&M, 17-7. They played Georgia twice. They lost both times. Texas hasn't played anybody and won. Okay? Say what you want about Texas A&M. Yes, that's a rivalry game. I totally get it. Quinn Ewers still dealing with that ankle injury, oblique injury. How effective is he going to be? Will Arch Manning get meaningful snaps? Again, I think that all plays to Clemson's favor. Cade Klubnik playing with ultimate confidence. I like Phil Maffa. They're going to be able to tote the rock. Texas's defense is solid. There's no doubt. But again, I go back to who they played all season long, able to pad those defensive statistics. Clemson's not going to be scared, man. This is way too many points. So give me the 12 points. As a money line underdog, I think it's worth taking a look at.
Wow. So I do want to make this clear that I have been a Clemson fan all year. I have said that they would find a way into the college football playoff. However, I didn't say they would make a deep run into the college football playoff. I said they would get in, and I think it ends in round 1 at Texas. Now,
really,
for me, I look at this because of the quarterback situation in 2 unique ways. If Quinn Ewers starts, he's got to play well. His back is backed up into the corner, and he has to come out swinging if he wants a shot at the NFL, if he wants a shot at a big NIL deal moving forward, maybe at another school. Okay. And then if it's not Quinn Ewers, then it's Arch Manning. And I think he's ready.
You think Arch is ready?
I think Arch is ready. I think he's seen it. He's paid his time. He's done his dues. He's getting subtly mixed in these run packages in these games. He's gotten the feel, gotten the flow of the game. I think if he makes an appearance, I think he's ready, and he could take the Longhorns by storm here and really rejuvenate this football team.
Okay. I definitely picking up what you're putting down. Again, from vsin.com. Turnovers are the great equalizer, and that was the difference in the ACC championship game, and it has been the difference for Clemson all season long. The Tigers forced 25 turnovers and finished plus 16 in turnover margin. Texas actually tied for the nation's lead in takeaways with 28. However, they had 22 turnovers of their own. Can Quinn Ewers take care of the ball? Look what happened against Georgia, right? Georgia gave 3 back, but Texas was turning the ball over. I don't know, man. I think Clemson is a real live dog in this game. So give me the Tigers. Fromm, you like the Longhorns, given Arch Manning has a bigger role in this game, but could be tough for Texas to bounce back after that loss in overtime in the SEC championship game. That to me is going to be the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I slightly disagree on that. I think the next one we're going to cover will be the best game of the weekend. However, I think we can both agree on there'll be way too much orange in that stadium.
There's going to be a lot. Let's get right to this game. It's the most anticipated of the weekend without question. I should have mentioned College Game Day doing a double header. They're going to be in South Bend on Friday. They're going to be in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday. So the nightcap Saturday to round out the first round of the college football playoff. Tennessee at Ohio State. 8 p.m. kickoff. This one's back on ABC, ESPN. Ohio State is 7.5-point favorite. The total is 45.5 points. Storylines galore here, man. I mean, no coach has more pressure on him than Ryan Day. The Ohio State fans can't stand him. Tennessee fans are taking advantage of the secondary ticket market. Hell, it's only a 4-hour drive from Knoxville. Yeah. The Vol Nation, the Vol Army will be there in droves. There will be tons of orange inside that stadium. And, you'd have to convince me very strongly that Ohio State's not going to be playing tight, that they're not going to be anxious, that they're not going to want to try to be perfect. And Tennessee on the flip side, like, hey, man, let's go spin it. Let's go have some fun, do some stuff, be special, and win a football game on the road.
Dude, I am right there with you. I love where Tennessee's at. Everybody's kind of overlooking them. They're not really all that talked about. They snuck in this, that. Look, guys, I think they are right where they want to be. Hey, forget about us. They're going to be the quiet assassins. And they're going to go up to Columbus and handle business. Okay, so I know I talked about the Notre Dame, Indiana game, and I have my reasons for why I picked that. Everyone wants to talk about, well, it's going to be cold. It's a night game. Usually in these games,
you ever been to Rocky Top, dude? It's cold in Tennessee. They're in the Smoky Mountains. I don't get that narrative.
Come on, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that either.
Yeah.
But even if I was buying it, let me tell you this: Tennessee is the more physical football team. I would say 95 to 99% of the time, the more physical football team wins these kind of. The team that is more physical, okay, and takes care of the football wins these kind of games. Tennessee is the more physical football team, in my opinion, hands down. They can run the football. Let me tell you, that front seven, they are problems, man. They are issues.
Yes.
And I really like where Tennessee's
and
at.
Ohio State missing their center, missing their starting left tackle. Like, they have vulnerabilities on the offensive line.
100%. So if I'm a Tennessee fan, all I'm asking for, all I am praying for, all I'm asking Santa for is for Nico Iamaleava to have a decent game and not turn over the football. He doesn't have to be Superman. He just needs to play it nice and easy, do what Heupel is asking him to do, execute a little bit, don't turn the ball over. Man, I think Tennessee goes up there and handles business, for also adding to all the reasons that you said, man. Ohio State, they're tight. What's going on with their coach? They just lost to Michigan. They just lost to Michigan. They just lost to Michigan. So that's all that's on their mind. That's all they're hearing right now. I'm telling you, man, it adds up and it matters.
Well, what is the recipe for winning football in December, in January, in the playoffs, especially for road teams? What travels? The run game and defense. It's exactly what Tennessee has. Dylan Sampson, the best running back, top 2 running back in the SEC, one of the best running backs in the country, 20-plus touchdowns on the season, an absolute workhorse, and their defense, their front seven, super deep, get after the quarterback, dominant in the run game. They're not afraid. I think they see the opportunity to expose the vulnerabilities on Ohio State's offensive line, replicate a lot of the stuff that Michigan did to frustrate Will Howard and not allow him to take advantage of Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith on the outside, his threats on the perimeter on that Ohio State offense. Ryan Day has lost all 3 games versus SEC opponents during his tenure at Ohio State. I think Tennessee is just generally underrated. I really do. They were in the college football playoff before conference championship weekend even started. I think the Buckeyes are going to have a tough time responding to that Michigan loss. And if Ryan Day loses this game, he's probably on the way out Sunday morning. And I think that might be the situation we have on our hands here. Yeah, it'll be in the 20s around kickoff. Who cares? Tennessee, like 28 in football, Jake? If it's dry and not windy, that's nothing. Yeah, I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee to win the game.
Yeah, and it's so funny to me. I keep having this conversation with people. It's like everyone wants to make a big deal about weather in college football, and nobody cares at all about weather in the NFL. It's like, yeah, that's just expected. Don't worry about it. Now, unless it's a Buffalo game and there's 4 foot of snow,
right?
Nobody really cares. So the kids will adapt. They will adjust, and they'll play football. Let me tell you, pads will be hitting, and it'll be a good dang football game to watch.
No question. It's going to be an awesome one, and it's going to be a great nightcap to the first round of the college football playoff. That's going to do it for us on this episode of Punt and Pass. Massive shout out to our presenting sponsor and our partner, Prize Picks, of course. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code PUNT, P-U-N-T, PUNT. You get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 entry, win or lose. We went Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, under or less than 181.5 passing yards, and Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee quarterback, more than 185.5 passing yards this upcoming weekend. That's the Punt and Pass Prize Picks slip of the week. Follow us on social media. We're at Punt and Pass on X and Instagram and on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at From Jake, puntandpass.com. Mr. Fromm, anything on the way out, bro?
No, man, grab your popcorn. This is what we waited for weekend. All year. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Going to be a ton of fun. We'll have it locked in and recap everything for you on Monday. Go Lions. Beat up on the Bears. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you on Monday. See ya.
Yep.